Funny thing about secrets, you never expect them to live in the basement of a modest two-story with chipped paint and a busted screen door. But that's where mine lives. Beneath creaky floorboards and hand-me-down furniture. Right under everyone's nose. My name's Jack. Folks around here think I'm just a handyman. Guy with a rusty pickup, always knee-deep in someone's plumbing or fixin' a fence post. I keep to myself. Live on the edge of town in a house that looks like it's trying not to draw attention. And that's the point. Because what they don't know is that I'm worth $87 million. Give or take. Crazy, right? I made my money in silence. Coding alone in coffee shops, selling software in back channels, investing like a ghost. I never wanted the spotlight. Never craved yachts or Rolexes or social media posts where you pretend to be happy while showing off champagne you don't even like. That wasn't the dream. The dream was simple, help folks. Quietly. Every week I choose someone. Someone who's drowning in bills, working 3 jobs, or just had life roll over them like a damn freight train. I find a way to slip them what they need, cash in the mail, tuition paid, mortgage mysteriously cleared. No names. No recognition. Just a break when they need it most. But lately, things been getting strange. It started 2 weeks ago. I was fixin' Mrs. Cartwright's porch step. She's the sweet widow who makes killer banana bread and thinks I'm 35 instead of 47, God bless her. Anyway, I had my drill out when I noticed a black sedan parked 2 houses down. Windows tinted. Engine off. Same car I'd seen outside the diner 2 days prior. Didn't think much of it until I saw it again. And again. Then last night, it followed me home. Real slow. Now, I ain't paranoid by nature, but when you spend your life trying to hide, you notice shadows that don't belong. So I went down to the basement. My real office is down there. Not the dusty bench with tangled wires that folks see when they stop by, but the room behind the false wall. You need a fingerprint and a voice print to open it. And once you're in, you're looking at 6 screens, encrypted servers, and enough firewalls to keep the devil himself from peeking in. I ran the license plate. The sedan's registered to a shell company in Delaware. No surprises there. But what did surprise me? The email that popped into my inbox 30 minutes later. Subject, you've been found. Body, you can't keep doing this. Someone will get hurt. No sender. No header trail. Just static and a timestamp. I stared at that screen longer than I cared to admit. Could have been a scare tactic. Or maybe a warning. But from who? The folks I help don't know who I am. That's the whole point. Even the donations are laundered through a web of nonprofits and trust funds built to disappear. So who found me? I went to bed with that question rattling in my head like a marble in a tin can. Barely slept. Dreamed of fire. Of someone torching my hard drives and Logan while the whole basement burned. When I woke up, someone had slid a letter through my mail slot. No stamp. Just my name scrawled in messy blue ink. Jack, stop helping. Or we'll stop you. So now I know for sure. Someone out there's been watching. And they don't like what I'm doing. I didn't go to work that morning. I sat in my truck with the engine off, hands on the wheel, just listening to the tick of the cooling metal like it was counting down to something. Street was quiet, too quiet. Mailbox across the road swung slightly even though the air was still. Felt like the calm before a punch. My instincts were yelling louder than they had in years. So I went dark. Tossed my phone in a ditch. Disconnected the fiber line from the house and smashed my routers to dust. Grabbed my go bag from the false panel in the closet, fake IDs, cash, backup drives, a satellite phone no one but me knows exists. It was like taking muscle memory out for a jog. I'd built my life to be able to vanish. Problem was I didn't want it anymore. But I wasn't about to roll over either. I headed into town, took the back roads past Miller's Creek where signal drops off and deer outnumber people. Stopped at a diner 30 miles out, the kind with cracked booths and coffee that tastes like it's been simmering since '92. That's where I saw her. Corner booth, leather jacket, laptop open and fingers flying like she was trying to outrun a ghost in the code. She clocked me the second I walked in, didn't even blink, just nodded at the seat across from her like she'd been expecting me. I sat. You're Jack, she said. Not a question. Her voice was dry-clipped. East Coast, maybe Boston. The kind that doesn't ask twice. You're real observant, I said, keeping my tone even. Who are you? She didn't answer. Just turned her screen so I could see what she was looking at. It was me. Not just a photo, no, this was my life. Financial trail, addresses, the LLCs I used to shuffle money. Even the name of the community college student whose tuition I'd paid last month. Your OPSEC's good, she said, still not looking at me. But not perfect. Clearly, I muttered, heat creeping up the back of my neck. You work for whoever's threatening me? She smirked, finally meeting my eyes. I work against them. Now that got my attention. They call themselves Helix, she said. Started as a shell network for offshore finance. Now it's a full-blown syndicate. Human trafficking, money laundering, blackmail. You've been burning holes in their pockets for a while now, Jack. I blinked. I give money away. Exactly, she said. To people they've already buried in debt. People they own. You've been unplugging their control lines. One by one. That landed like a sledgehammer. Why come to me now? I asked. Because you're compromised, she said, fingers flying across the keys again. They know your face. They've tracked your car. And if you don't move fast, they're not gonna send letters, they're gonna send bodies. I stared at her. What's your name? She hesitated. Mara. Just that. No last name. No offer of a handshake. I've been tracking them for 5 years, she added. But I need a front man. Someone with reach. With guts. I should have walked. Should have thanked her, tossed her laptop out the window, and disappeared into the wind like I'd trained myself to. But I didn't. Instead, I said, what do you need from me? And just like that, the trap shut. She smiled. I need your list. I froze. She meant the list, the encrypted file I keep on a drive locked in a safe behind a portrait in my bedroom. Everyone I've ever helped. Every person whose life I tried to fix in secret. No way, I said. That list is sacred. It's also your only leverage, she shot back. Helix doesn't know all of them yet. But they will. And when they do, those people are dead. You want to protect them? You give me that list and we fight this thing from the inside. I looked at her for a long time. She wasn't bluffing. And the worst part? She was right. I stood. I'll get it, I said. But if you double-cross me. I don't double-cross, she said. I just burn bridges and build new ones. I didn't look back. I drove home with every nerve in my body lit up like a warning flare. My driveway looked empty. Still. Too still. I parked 2 blocks away and crept through the back lot. Broke in through my own garage window. Slipped into the house like a burglar. Inside, it was too quiet. The safe was intact. The drive was still there. I tucked it into my coat and turned. That's when I saw the shadow move behind the hallway curtain. Someone else was already inside. And they weren't here to talk. It was subtle. Just the ripple of fabric like breath behind the curtain. But it was enough. I stepped back fast, heart hammering, slipping the drive from my coat into the vent shaft by the fridge before they could see. Clicked it shut with the tip of my boot. One move. One shot. Then I spoke, calm as I could fake it. You might as well come out, I said. I already know you're there. Nothing. Just the sound of the old fridge hummin' and the distant buzz of cicadas outside. I took a slow step forward, grabbing a flashlight off the counter, not for the light, but because it was metal and had weight. Real nice to the skull if it came to that. Then the curtain twitched. He stepped out. Tall. Clean-cut. Dressed like someone who meant to be forgotten. No logos, no flash, just utility. His face was forgettable, but his eyes, they were black. Not in color, in intent. The kind that look at you like you're nothing but a checkmark on a list. We stared each other down. Jack McCowan, he said, voice like gravel under ice. I hoped we'd meet. Can't say I hoped the same, I replied, gripping the flashlight tighter. You with Helix? He smiled. Just a twitch of his mouth. We don't use that name. Too cinematic. I didn't blink. You here for the drive? His eyes flicked around the kitchen. We know what you've built. And we know who you've helped. But you've made a mistake, Jack. You turned whispers into echoes. And someone noticed. He took a slow step forward. I didn't move. You don't have to die, he said, like he was ordering a sandwich. You just have to disappear. Quietly. Tonight. I let that hang in the air a second. Then I said, not gonna happen. His face twitched again, but not into a frown. He looked amused. I figured you'd say that, he said. That's when the second guy slammed into me from behind. Took me clean off my feet, sent the flashlight skittering across the tile. He was big, one of those mountain-sized men that smells like steel and cold sweat. He jammed a knee in my back and pressed something sharp against my ribs. I couldn't breathe. Not from fear, but from fury. You think you're special, the black-eyed one said, kneeling beside me. You're not. You're a loose thread in a perfect fabric. But we can fix that. I felt him reach into my coat. Empty. He stopped. Searched again. Still nothing. His jaw twitched. Where is it? I grinned, even with my face ground into the floor. Guess I'm not as sloppy as you thought. His eyes narrowed. Fine. You want to play it hard. He nodded once, and the guy behind me leaned in, pressure building on my ribs until I swore something cracked. Then, crash. The kitchen window shattered, glass exploding like a shotgun blast. Both of them ducked. I rolled hard, kicking out and catching the brute's knee with everything I had. He howled, went down hard. I scrambled to my feet, grabbed the flashlight, and swung. It connected. The black-eyed guy dropped like a sack of bricks. Smoke rolled in through the window. Mara. She'd thrown a flash canister, homemade, by the smell, and was already halfway through the window, hand outstretched. Move, Jack, she barked. I didn't think. Just ran. Dove through the broken frame as the kitchen filled with smoke and fury. landed in the yard and hit the ground rollin'. Mara grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the alley where a matte black SUV idled with the back door wide open. We tumbled in and peeled off, tires squealin' like we'd robbed a bank. "Tell me you have the drive," she panted. I nodded, trying to catch my breath. "Stashed it. I'll get it." She let out a tight sigh. "Good. Because they're not gonna stop now." "Who the hell are they?" I snapped. That wasn't just intimidation. They came ready to kill. "They're called the Silent Ones," she said, checking the rear view. "A splinter of Helix. Cleanup crew. If you see them, it's already too late." My head was pounding. Ribs on fire. Hands still shaking. "Why now?" I asked. "Why come after me now?" Mara glanced at me. "Because you accidentally exposed a leak. One of the people you helped? They were connected to a Helix laundering chain. You burned a hole in a money loop worth millions." I stared at her. "I was just trying to pay her kid's hospital bill." She nodded. "And you did. But the clinic was a front. You blew it wide open." I leaned back, the weight of it settling into my chest. "Jack," she said, more serious now, "you're not just some ghost donor anymore. You're a threat. And they don't warn threats twice." I looked out the window as we sped through the dark, the lights of my town fading behind us. "I didn't sign up for this," I whispered. She shot me a look. "No one ever does." We didn't go far that night, just enough to get lost. Mara drove like she'd stolen the SUV, which she probably had. We ended up in the back lot of a busted-up feed store on the outskirts of some no-name county where the sky was thick with static and the air smelled like rust and old secrets. "Stay here," she said, grabbing a duffel from the back seat. "I need to check something." I watched her disappear into the dark, boots crunching gravel. I was too wired to rest, too sore to move. Every breath reminded me I'd taken a knee to the ribs. My fingers kept twitching like they were still holding the flashlight. I pulled out the burner phone she'd tossed me earlier. New number. Blank contacts. Then it buzzed. Unknown number. Should have walked away, Jack. No punctuation. No flair. Just cold. I stared at it, thumb hovering. Me. Who is this? No response. I was about to chuck the phone into the bushes when I heard Mara's boots coming back. She slid into the driver's seat and dropped a folder on my lap. Thick. Heavy. My name written across the front in black marker. I opened it and nearly dropped it. Inside was everything. My bank data. Personal notes. Real-time location logs from the past 2 months. Even my encrypted messages with Mara. "How?" I rasped. "Someone on your inside," she said, tight-jawed. "You've been compromised from the beginning." I thumbed through the pages, stomach nodding. Only 3 people knew about those messages. Me, you, and one other. Mara didn't need to ask who. "You trust them." I did. "Then let's go pay them a visit." We drove 6 hours straight, zigzagging through back roads until we hit the edge of the city. Not the shiny glass part, the side where the neon signs flicker like they're begging for power and every third building's boarded up with warnings no one reads. We parked in front of an old gym, windows blacked out. There was a buzzer on the side door, barely hanging from its mount. I pressed it. No answer. "Step back," Mara said. She pulled out what looked like a vape pen, but when she twisted the end, it sparked blue. She jammed it into the panel. Sparks flew, metal hissed, and the door popped open like a sigh. We crept in. Inside was dim, dusty, and smelled like sweat and copper. The gym had been shut down years ago, but in the far back room, past the locker rows and the forgotten trophies, was a folding table, 3 monitors, and the last person I ever expected to see on the wrong side of a secret. Eric. My old friend. College roommate. Guy who once covered rent when I was broke and heartbroken and eating expired cereal for dinner. He was leaning back in a ratty office chair, holding a beer, eyes bloodshot and glassy. He didn't even flinch when I stepped into the light. "Well," he said, setting the bottle down. "Took you long enough." I just stared. "You did this." He gave a lazy shrug. "They offered. I accepted. It's not personal. You gave them my list, Eric." "No," he said quickly. "Not all of it. I held some back. You think I don't know what Helix does? I'm not a monster. Just tired of being broke." Mara stepped forward, voice like a knife. "So you sold out everyone who trusted Jack just to pay off your gambling debt?" He looked at her like he already hated her. "You don't know what it's like to watch everyone else succeed while you rot." I took a step forward. "You could have told me. Asked for help. You knew I would have." "That's the problem," he snapped. "You always play savior. Quietly, secretly, like some damn ghost in a flannel shirt." I was sick of being the one stuck in the dark. The silence that followed was heavy. Ugly. "Where's the rest of the data?" Mara asked. Eric hesitated, then motioned to a safe under the desk. Mara opened it, pulled out a second drive. scanned it, nodded once. "This is clean," she muttered. "Thank God." I looked at Eric, my voice flat. "They're going to kill you." His face twitched. "I know." I turned to leave. I didn't owe him mercy. I'd already given him that. But as we stepped out, he called after me. "You know they won't stop, right? This won't end with you walking away. They're not scared of you. Not yet." Mara didn't look back. "I know," I said. That night, we stayed in a cheap motel on the outskirts of nowhere. I lay on top of the blanket, staring at the ceiling fan spin like it was trying to outrun itself. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop seeing Eric's face. The man who once helped me rebuild after I lost everything had just tried to burn down everything I'd built. And I still didn't understand why it hurt so damn bad. Maybe because I realized something in that moment. This wasn't about saving strangers anymore. This was war. Morning came heavy and gray, like the sky knew something we didn't. I stood outside the motel, coffee in hand, trying to swallow the bitterness in my throat that had nothing to do with caffeine. The parking lot was quiet except for the buzz of a neon vacancy sign and Mara, sitting cross-legged on the hood of the SUV, scanning a laptop like the world depended on it. Probably did. "Got something," she said without looking up. Eric's betrayal triggered a digital flag. Someone upstream moved fast, started purging records, wiping trails, covering their tracks, I muttered. More like burying the bodies. She paused. But one name didn't vanish. That got my attention. She turned the screen so I could see. A name at the bottom of a spreadsheet, burned in like a scar. T. Rowan. It hit me like a gut punch. I hadn't heard that name in 17 years. "Who is he?" Mara asked. I took a breath. "He's the man who made me rich." She blinked. "Say that again?" "Gregory Rowan. Used to run a startup in Chicago. He was a beast, brilliant, cutthroat, charming in a stab-you-while-smiling kind of way. Hired me fresh out of college. I built the back end of his entire platform. The code that ran the whole damn machine. What happened?" I laughed. But there wasn't a drop of humor in it. "He stole it. My code. My work. Sold the company for 9 figures and left me with a severance check and a non-disclosure agreement thick enough to choke a cow." Mara's eyes narrowed. "You ever fight back?" "Tried. Got buried. Legally, financially, psychologically. I left the city with a duffel bag and a hole in my chest." Now her expression shifted. Understanding, maybe even sympathy. "So that's why you went off-grid," she said. "That's what turned you into the guy who gives everything away." "Yeah," I muttered. "I wanted to build something no one could steal. Something clean." She sat quiet for a beat, then said, "Well, he's not clean anymore." She tapped the screen. "Rowan's not just in bed with Helix. He's helping run it. Private accounts. Shell companies. He's funding their expansion into U.S. markets." I felt my pulse spike. Not fear. Rage. "He built his empire on my code," I growled. "And now he's building this on my silence." Mara closed the laptop. "I say it's time we knock on his door." Rowan's main office was in a downtown tower made of steel and smugness. Glass panels that looked like they hated being touched by common air. Security at every turn. You couldn't even sneeze without a badge. We weren't getting in through the front. Luckily, I remembered the back. 17 years ago, I used to take smoke breaks on the service balcony. Maintenance crew didn't check credentials, just waved you through if you carried a toolbox and looked tired. So we played the part. Borrowed uniforms. ID tags forged by Mara's tech. Toolboxes filled with gear that wasn't meant for fixin' anything except trouble. We walked in through the loading dock like we owned the place. "Don't stop," Mara whispered. "Walk like you've got a job to do." We rode the freight elevator to the 34th floor. The elevator music was obnoxiously cheerful, made my teeth itch. Then the doors opened. Office was sleek, silent, a glass box of secrets. We moved fast. Hallway. Server room. Swipe bypass. Fingerprint override. Finally, his door. I took a breath. Knocked once. "Come in," a voice called. We stepped inside. And there he was. Rowan hadn't aged a day. Same slick hair, same smug smirk. Suit tailored so sharp it probably whispered threats to cheaper fabrics. He didn't even flinch when he saw me. "Well," he said, "I was wondering when you'd come back." I stared at him. "You remember me?" He chuckled. "Jack McCowan. Code genius. Idealist. Idiot." Mara stiffened beside me. You buried me, I said. Stole my life. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. And look what it made you. A ghost. A savior. Isn't that what you wanted? I stepped closer. You're bankrolling Helix. He didn't deny it. They needed infrastructure. I had infrastructure. It's just business. No, I said. It's blood. The people I helped, families, kids, you put a target on all of them. Rowan tilted his head. And yet you walked right in. Makes me wonder if you're really as careful as you pretend. That's when I felt it. The prick. My neck. I turned, Mara. Syringe in hand. My legs gave out before I could speak. The last thing I saw was her eyes. Apologetic. And terrified. Then everything went black. I came to in the dark. Not movie dark. Real dark, the kind you feel in your teeth. Mouth dry. Arms numb. Floor cold under my back like concrete straight from a freezer. My head pounded like it was trying to crack open. Voices filtered through a wall. Two of them. Mara. Rowan. He wasn't supposed to go down like that, she hissed. You said I could talk to him. Rowan's voice, smooth as oil. He wouldn't listen. Jack's a hammer pretending to be a scalpel. Emotional. Reckless. You said if I brought him in, no one would get hurt. And no one will if he cooperates. I sat up slow, feeling the pinch of plastic ties around my wrists. My back screamed. My ribs still throbbed from the goon who tried to turn me into a pretzel back at the house. I was in a room with no windows. One flickering light overhead. A camera in the corner blinked red like it was judging me. I wasn't scared. I was furious. They underestimated me. They always do. The door opened. Mara stepped in first. Didn't look at me right away. Her face was pale, jaw clenched like she'd bitten down on regret and couldn't spit it out. Rowan followed, flanked by two new security apes in matte black gear. They looked military but without the conscience. I stood. Barely. You're awake, Rowan said, like I was late to dinner. Good. We've got a lot to talk about. I ignored him. Looked straight at Mara. You drugged me. Her eyes flinched. Just a little. But it was real. I had to, she said. You were gonna get yourself killed. You lied, I spat. I didn't lie, she snapped. I just didn't tell you the part where Rowan and I were working together. I laughed bitter and sharp. Great. So what? You his hacker pet now? Does he throw you bonuses every time you destroy someone's life? She didn't answer. But something in her eyes cracked. Rowan stepped forward, smug as hell. Jack, he said, like we were old buddies at a golf course. Let me paint you a picture. I said nothing. I built Helix, he continued, because the world doesn't run on kindness. It runs on control. And your crusade to help people quietly, that's cute. But it breaks the system. You've become a disruption. And disruptions get removed. I smirked. Then why am I still breathing? Because, he said, tapping a folder on the table, I need you to finish something for me. He slid the folder over. Inside were schematics. My code. The core framework I wrote over a decade ago retooled for something new. Something weaponized. Not just money movement. Full behavioral tracking. Manipulation. Data-fed influence. You want me to finish this? I asked. Yes. Because only you can. And if I don't? Rowan smiled. Then he pulled out another folder. Photos. Of every person I'd helped in the last 3 years. I know them all, Jack, he said quietly. Every single one. Faces, names, where they sleep. Your integrity has a body count. I gritted my teeth. My hands balled into fists behind my back. You finish the work, he said, and they live. You walk away. Quiet. Done. Or. I flipped the switch. I looked at Mara again. She was pale. Still. But she didn't speak up. Why? I asked her. Why betray me? She swallowed. Because I thought he was the lesser evil. Because I thought if I was on the inside, I could stop him. Her voice cracked. I didn't think you'd get this far. I thought you'd scare easy. Well, bad read, I muttered. Then something in me clicked. They didn't know I already moved the list. Didn't know I swapped the data to a dead drop server. Didn't know I had a plan. So I played it cool. I sat down. Looked at the code. Pretended to study it. You want it finished? I said after a pause. I'll need a terminal. My specs. No watchers. Rowan smiled, smug as ever. Of course. I looked up. But one condition. He raised a brow. You let her walk. Mara. Out the door. Clean. No follow, no trace. That caught him off guard. He looked at her. Then back at me. Interesting, he said. Still playing hero. Fine. If she's gone by midnight, she's free. But no second chances, Jack. They left me alone. The second the door shut, I breathed. Deep. Focused. I counted 23 seconds before the hidden mic under the table activated. I'd seen the blinking diode. Knew where it was. Spoke right into it. Activate Protocol 7. Location confirmed. Upload in 30. Assume full breach. Then I waited. Because 30 floors down, in a forgotten terminal hardwired into the subgrid, my ghost was waking up, and the world was about to see what happens when you corner a quiet man with nothing left to lose. 30 minutes. That's all I needed. But time moves different when you're the fuse burning toward the dynamite. They thought I was building, writing code, playing along. I was detonating. Downstairs, deep in the underbelly of the building, a tiny server that had sat dormant for years, one I wired during late nights back when I still believed in Rowan, was waking up. Not flashy, not loud, but precise. Surgical. I wasn't just wiping data. I was setting the truth free. Mara came back in at the 20-minute mark. She didn't speak at first, just stood there like she didn't know which side of the fire she was standing on. Finally, she said, "You were never going to finish it, were you?" "Nope," I said, still typing. "You sent the data." "Full dump," I nodded. "All of it. Financial records. Internal Helix comms. Ties to Rowan. Ties to politicians. Backdoor servers. If someone has a dirty secret, it's about to hit the sunlight." Her face was pale. "They'll kill you for this." "Maybe," I said. "But they'll have to stand in line." She took a step forward. "You gave them my name too?" I looked at her. Hard, but not cruel. "You gave me up. Drugged me. Handed me to the devil. I gave you a way out instead." She blinked. "Real tears, not performance." "Why?" "Because we've both been pawns. Just on different ends of the board." That's when the first alarm hit. Screaming from the floor below. Sirens. Then flashing lights. Security chatter erupted over the building intercom, shouted codes, orders to seal floors, demands for location locks. They knew something was happening. They just didn't know what yet. Mara's eyes went wide. "What did you do?" "Wrote a new story," I said, standing up. "With a better ending." We moved fast. I had 23 seconds before Rowan realized the files were gone. 45 before the building locked down. We made it to the stairwell. 5 floors down. I was about to kick open the next door when the radio on Mara's hip crackled. Rowan's voice stopped them. "Kill him. Bring her back alive." We froze. Then ran. Gunfire erupted above us, punches of sound that echoed like a war had broken out. I pushed Mara ahead of me, down flights of concrete, boots slamming like drumbeats. Every floor we passed, more chaos. Sirens. Shouting. Fear. This wasn't corporate espionage anymore. It was a collapse. We hit the sub-basement. Metal hallway. Emergency lights flickering red. At the end, an old maintenance tunnel, half forgotten and wide open. "We're almost out," Mara gasped, clutching her side. "Just a little further." I nodded, then stopped. She turned. "Jack?" I held up a flash drive. "Go." Her eyes widened. "What are you doing?" "I'm finishing this." "Jack?" "If I leave, Rowan vanishes. He runs. And it all starts over somewhere else. But if I stay, if I end this, then we don't have to keep running." She stepped forward, desperate. "You don't have to die a martyr." "I'm not dying," I said with a ghost of a smile. "I'm just staying in the fight." Then I pressed the drive into her hand. "Give this to the press. The real ones. Leak it all. Don't stop until the world knows what he is." She stared at me. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Don't be," I said. "Just run." And she did. Boots echoing into the dark, back into the world. I turned, walked back into the chaos. Rowan was waiting. He stood in his glass office as the building shook with panic. Security had fallen apart. The system was crumbling. Monitors showed news sites already flooding with headlines. Exposure. Collusion. Criminal empire. He looked at me. Cold. Quiet. "You think you win because you told the truth?" he asked. "No," I said. "I win because I didn't hide from it." He raised a gun. I raised a detonator. Tiny. Remote. Built it years ago. Just in case. "You won't press it," he said, smile twitching. "Wanna bet?" The blast didn't kill anyone, but it lit up the servers. Fried every terminal on the 34th floor. No fire, just smoke, sparks, and a permanent blackout on his kingdom. Cops arrived 6 minutes later. So did the FBI. I let them cuff me. Didn't fight. Mara was long gone. And Rowan? He didn't walk out of that building. Ever. The court case took months. Public opinion did what bullets couldn't. By the end, Helix was gone. Rowan's empire shattered. The people I helped were safe. Most of them never even knew how close they came to the edge. I served time. Not much. Whistleblower protection. Federal cooperation. Even a few letters of thanks. But I didn't go back to my house when it was done. I went somewhere quiet. New town. New name. Still modest. Still quiet. But this time, I don't work alone. Mara found me again. She brought coffee. A laptop. A mission. There's still corruption out there. Still monsters in suits pretending they're saints. But now, they've got someone watching. Not for glory, not for payback. Just because some of us were born to fix broken things, even if we get broken doing it. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man with a toolbox and a past full of ghosts. But I see people, and sometimes that's enough to save him.